Welcome to the world of urban legends, where these stories will ignite your curiosity, whispered warnings will give you delightful shivers, and mysteries offer an exciting twist on reality. But fear not, in this friendly realm of urban legends, we're here to explore intriguing tales together. So join us as we dive into today's heartwarming tale, a blue dye love story. Does the pool turn blue if you dare to pee? Once upon a time, in a distant era when Hanson song Bop filled the airwaves with their summer melody, we were young and carefree. The summers felt eternal, and the sun seemed to have a permanent place in the sky. It was a time when every day was an adventure waiting to unfold, and we approached life with the unbridled enthusiasm that only the young possess. I knew this was going to be the best day of my life. The first day of the summer holidays had arrived, bringing with it a sense of excitement and adventure that had been building up for weeks. My best friend Tony and I had been excitedly waiting for this day for what seemed like forever. It was the grand opening of the brand new neighborhood pool. It promised to be a day filled with life, thrilling water slides, endless laughter, and the boundless possibilities that only summer holidays could offer. On this day, which would unknowingly mark my passage into adolescence, my best friend in the whole world, Tony, ready to embark upon another escapade. What mischief would we find today? Tony's older brother had told us of an urban legend as old as man. It wasn't about the mysteries of the universe or the wonders of the great unknown. No, it was, "Don't pee in the pool, it will turn blue." Our minds were blown, consumed by this enigma, a riddle that had played in the minds of kids for generations. Could you pee in the pool without the water turning a conspicuous deep shade of blue? However, amidst the eager crowds, the anticipation of water slides and cannonballs, there was another reason this day held a special significance for me. Her name was Melanie, and her presence at the pool that day filled me with a mixture of fascination and dread. Melanie was the most beautiful girl I had ever laid eyes upon, her curly buffon blonde hair and a face framed by large black framed glasses and rainbow-colored braces, making her smile to me that of an angel. She possessed an aura of effortless charm, and her laughter had the power to turn even my poorest attempts at communication to her into moments of comedic genius, or so it seemed. The day unfolded like a dream. The water slides, which had been the source of so much excitement and the anticipation, turned out to be even better than I could have ever wished for. As we zoomed down the twisting tubes, the world became a blur of exhilaration and joy. The cool water splashed around me, and the feeling of weightlessness filled my senses. As the morning turned to noon, the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm and brilliant glow over the bustling poolside. The atmosphere buzzed with the energy of 1,000 summer dreams. Laughter echoed through the air, and the scent of sunscreen mixed with the aroma of poolside snacks. Tony and I shot out of the water slide in a massive splash. I couldn't help but scan the pool deck for Melanie. I had been hoping to spend more time with her, to continue the attempt at conversation we had started earlier, and there she was, just as radiant as ever, standing by the pool's edge. But my elation quickly turned to despair when I saw who she was with. Brad. Brad, the epitome of coolness, was the last person I had expected to see with Melanie. He was tall, smart, incredibly good-looking, and always seemed to be at the forefront of the latest trends. Every girl in the neighborhood had a secret crush on Brad, and now he had Melanie by his side. My heart sank like a stone, and a knot of jealousy and self-doubt twisted in my stomach. It was as if the world had suddenly turned upside down. Melanie, the girl I had been so captivated by, was with Brad, the guy who had it all. Dejected and uncertain about my chances, Tony and I decided to retreat to the shallow pool. As we waded into the calm waters, Tony made a valiant effort to reassure me. He insisted that Melanie had noticed me and seemed interested in my company. His words were meant to boost my confidence, but my heart was still heavy with doubt. I half floated in the kids' pool, my gaze fixed on Melanie and Brad. Every time I mustered the courage to steal a glance in their direction, my stomach churned with anxiety. The fear of rejection and the prospect of embarrassment loomed over me, making it nearly impossible to muster the confidence to approach them. The situation couldn't have been more challenging. As Tony and I stood there in the shallow pool, my need to use the restroom had become urgent, thanks to all the slush puppies I had indulged in throughout the day. I knew I couldn't hold it in any longer. Nature was calling, and it was calling loudly. The restroom was within sight, but to my dismay, Melanie and Brad had chosen that exact moment to stand by the entrance. Panic and frustration welled up within me. I whispered my predicament to Tony, who listened with a sympathetic expression. Tony reminded me of the legendary blue water pea dye, the very same myth his brother had sought to reinforce earlier in the day. He cautioned me that if I were to pee in the pool, the water would betray me, turning a deep shade of blue. The mere thought of such embarrassment made my bladder feel like a ticking time bomb. "You can't pee here," Tony whispered urgently, his eyes filled with concern. "Everyone will see it." As I stood there, unable to hold back the inevitable any longer, I began to pee in the pool. Tony, my loyal friend who had accompanied me on this day of excitement and uncertainty, chose to swim away, shouting over his shoulder, "No way, man, you can't pee in the pool." He wanted no part in what he believed would lead to the dreaded blue dye dilemma. Feeling a mixture of embarrassment and isolation, I was left alone in the pool as the water around me slightly warmed. In that moment, my wish for a sea monster, a kraken, or anything that could whisk me away from this awkward situation was at its peak. I longed to escape the consequences of my impulsive act. But as the seconds turned into minutes, a realization washed over me. There was no blue dye. The legend of the blue dye was nothing more than a childhood myth created to install fear into the souls of the young and laughter into the hearts of older kids. I remembered Tony's brother, with his mischievous eyes filled with glee as he shared the tale with us. With newfound realization, a confidence, and a sense of clarity, at the moment I was no longer a gullible kid. I strode through the pool with purpose, determined to seize the opportunity that had presented itself. Melanie was looking back in my direction, her smile as radiant as ever. Gathering my courage, I approached her and said, "Hey, do you fancy a slush puppy?" Her eyes lit up with delight as she placed her arm around my waist, and together we walked over to the Sunset Slushy Bar. Little did I know that this moment would mark the beginning of something new, a special connection that would lead to shared memories. There was a hint of irony in the future, as soon after her wee turned blue. The end.